All right, thanks for joining us here on Frank Boomer. Great Boomer Weekend Edition. Tonight's show, we're going to have some readings from some odd stories. We're going to have some mailbag and some lots of other fun. So thanks for joining us and stick around. Now, those of you who listen to the end of the show, I wanted to point out at the very end of the segment there, the last segment, I have a special offer. Now, my longtime listeners, you're going to want to listen to that. So stick around and enjoy tonight's Frivolosity. All right, welcome to Frank Boomer's Interesting Tales of the Universe. Today's tale is from Earth. Has anyone ever heard of the Kentucky meat shower? Well, today we're going to talk about that, the Kentucky meat shower. Hopefully you wouldn't eat it, but apparently some people did when a horse wagon full of hunks fell from the sky March 3rd, 1876, covering the yard of a confused farmer's wife in Bath County. What was described as flakes of meat rained down around Mrs. Ellen Crouch, who was making soap in her garden at the time. An article in the New York Times a week later published the account of Harrison Gill, whose veracity is unquestionable. The article said some pieces were 3 to 4 inches square and others stuck to the fences. When the meat first fell, it appeared to be perfectly fresh. Now, 2 unidentified men who tasted the meat said it was either mutton or venison. And over the next 2 days, curious neighbors and scientists flocked to the Crouch's farm to try to determine what had caused the strange phenomenon. There's no definitive agreement about what happened that day. That's according to Kurt Godey, an art professor at Transylvania University who has researched the incident. There are, however, plenty of theories. Gold's favorite theory is the one that he said was presented later in the New York Times, that it was cosmic meat, flesh of animals from an exploding planet. People were familiar with meteors at the time, but they didn't know that it would have been impossible for the meat to fall through Earth's atmosphere without being incinerated. So, the explanation was certainly plausible to them, no matter how absurd it sounds today. One scientist who tested the meat said the meat was from the tissue of lungs of a child or a goat, which drew a lot of attention but didn't stick. One theory that didn't get a lot of attention, Gold said, was by Robert Peter, a scientist at Transylvania University. Vulture vomit. Now, Peter knew, or at least theorized, that when vultures are startled or need to take off quickly, they may need to lighten their load so they can fly. In such cases, the birds vomit food they've recently eaten, possibly even while flying. Now, this theory is believed today to be the most likely, though Goldie pointed out it has a big hole. To believe vulture vomit theory is to disbelieve the account of the only person who saw it happen. Mrs. Crouch said when she looked up, the sky was clear. And if vultures were vomiting enough meat to scatter across a football field, Mrs. Crouch presumably would have seen vultures overhead. The Kentucky meat shower is not a historical event taught in classrooms, but there is a children's book about it, and no, it's not Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. It's more of a scale version of Abbey Road on the River. It's coming to Jeffersonville this May. Mark Sullivan, host of the Past and Curious, a historical podcast for kids, wrote The Meat Shower, the mostly true tale of an odd and somewhat edible occurrence. But early this year, it's written from the perspective of a piece of meat that fell in Mrs. Crouch's yard and still sits in a jar on a shelf at Transylvania University today. The little chunk just wants answers about what happened. But, like us, he may never know. If something like the meat shower happened today, Goldie said scientists would dig until they found out exactly what happened. In the 1800s, however, unexplained things happened all the time. And when scientists couldn't settle on an explanation, they moved on to the next thing. If you look historically, things fell from the sky with a surprising frequency, Goldie said. I don't think things have changed to cause things to fall with less frequency, but things are solved now. And looking back, remember those mysterious radar blips? Kentucky wasn't alone. Goldie said he hears about strange things falling from the sky somewhere in the world about once every 2 years, though it's never raw meat. If he had to put his money on a theory, Goldie said he would go with a vulture vomit. But he's fine, not knowing with certainty. He went on to say, I prefer wonder to solutions. He also said, I think there are things we just don't understand, preferring the unsolvable. And so that's the story of the Kentucky meat rain. The day it rained meat in Kentucky, and we still don't know what happened. All right, welcome to the Frank Boomer Show. We got a great show tonight, a little different kind of show because Frank Boomer Show is always evolving as our world changes, our demographics change by the minute. I like to have a little fun. I like to kind of get people to think. I like to do both. Sometimes it's hard. It's a weekend. We like to have fun topics on the weekend. We used to do them and call them the weekend edition. Bring in special guests. Well, this weekend we're just going to look for fun and frivolous things that actually happened. And we're going to use the internet. We're going to use anything we can find to find some things in history that were reported that are kind of silly. To let everybody lighten up a little, because the world is very serious. And sometimes you just got to lighten up. And that's what we're going to do tonight. So buckle up, get everything ready. Let's get ready to have a good time here on the Frank Boomer Show. Although this is listed as a .org organization, so be sure to take notes. Be back in a minute, kids.